Follow the Leader is the third studio album by American nu metal band Korn. The album was released on August 18th, 1998 through Immortal/Epic. This was their first album not produced by Ross Robinson. Instead, it was produced by Steve Thompson and Toby Wright. The album peaked at number one on four charts, including the Billboard 200, with 268,000 units sold in its first week of release. It is considered to be the band's most commercially successful album, being certified 5 times platinum by the RIAA. The album generally received positive reviews by critics and sold around 14 million copies worldwide. Korn was praised by AllMusic, saying the album is an effective follow-up to their first two alt metal landmarks. Brad, this is obviously the greatest album ever made. Your favorite record of all time. How much do you love Jonathan Davis? And is it true you two are dating?
Well, this is the best album ever of all time by a band that has a backwards R in their name. And no, the rumors aren't true. I'm not dating Jonathan Davis because he's fat now.
It was just a one-time thing, a short fling, just no emotions involved.
An infatuation with white man dreads, like that dirty white man dreads. And I just thought, he seemed cute.
Yeah.
But he wasn't in the end. In the end, he just broke my heart.
Really?
And seemed to write angry songs about me, and I didn't appreciate it.
Was it the cultural appropriation, or he dumped you? He dumped you. Was that what happened?
He did. Yeah, I wasn't pure enough.
Oh, really? You found out about your dirty past as a chorus girl?
Filthy past, singing in Annie. This is their third album, you said?
Yeah. So they did their first album. I don't know. What was that called? Was it just called Korn?
Oh, yeah. I think it was just Korn's Korn. Korn on the cob. Just straight Korn.
Straight Korn. And then it was Life is Peachy.
Yes, that was the second one. And then this. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And this was the one that put them into the mainstream.
Was it though? I remember when their first album came out, that song Blind was big time. It was like, whoa, what is this new? These boys are angry. I'm angry too. And I'm an angry white male. This is right up my alley. And then the second one wasn't that good. And then there was this one, which had the sweet lead single of oh, help me out. It's track number 3. I can't even remember the title of it.
The Life, Freak on a Leash, I think.
Freak on a Leash. That's it. Freak on a Leash. I remember that hitting the radio. Just, it was everywhere. And then so was Got the Life. And that's why the album was a hit. Other than that, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase here, Dan. I reckon there's 3 good songs on this album, and that's what they start the album with. And then it turns into the biggest pile of horseshit rap rock crap. Well, at least until Kid Rock came out. That's me laying it down. 3 amazing tracks, and then some Fred Durst shit, and that's it. And then I'm kind of out, And I agree, it's a great album, and Korn do well, but I think Korn are I prefer Korn as a greatest hits band now, like pick up their greatest hits record, put it on, and I know there's going to be 12 kick-ass tracks. But as an album band, nah. I reckon each album has, barring the first album. I think the first album I could rate that as a classic, and the skippability would be pretty low. But after that, yeah, Korn went downhill pretty swiftly, I reckon. What say you, Savage?
I'm a little I wouldn't say I'm the greatest advocate, but then I've got nothing against them.
Mm.
The first album came out, there was a lot of. I've talked about this before. It was a heavy metal band on TV with music videos, and I couldn't understand it. And it wasn't kind of the metal I was used to with Slayer and Metallica and Megadeth and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was that big
It
hip
was
hop
it was the
influence.
new metal.
Mm.
Mm.
And I remember house sitting for someone, and I listened to the first Korn CD. That was the first time I sat and listened to it. I thought, not too bad. And he
Mm.
also had Life is Peachy, and I listened to that, and it was much better produced, but I didn't like anything on it at all. I thought, oh. And it
Worst
was
songs,
funny
yeah.
because it was the exact same band, exact same sound. It just wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And when Follow the Leader came out, to me, it was everywhere. Like the singles were all over the radio, the videos were all over the TV. And I felt like they'd polished up and gone a little bit more commercial too. There was like the disco hi-hat beat going on, and was
You
it Got
got
the
the
Life?
life. Yeah.
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 It was like it was a more approachable Korn, I think, that, and I think this is their biggest selling album, 14 million albums. They haven't
Yeah. I think
they haven't
this
duplicated this.
it was a crossover album almost. There were, hilariously, the Christian set at my high school, the God-fearing Bible reading folk, took Got the Life as their anthem because
Right.
there's the line in it, something along, it goes like, God told me I've got the life. And they were like, yeah, God told us I've got the life. I mean, they're just kind of ignoring all the sex addiction, pornography addiction, calling people faggots, all that stuff of all the other Korn songs.
Oh, I think they like that bit. These guys have got some good values going on here.
Yeah. These guys are speaking to my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was the same. Yeah, saw it everywhere. I think Korn, similar to you, I suppose. I was coming back from Wellington on a road trip, called to Real Groovy. You remember that store? And bought a couple of CDs back when you bought CDs. And I bought Foo Fighters' Color in the Shape and Korn's debut album together. And we crashed at some random person's house and had a stereo. I was on the couch and I put them on, fresh listens. Foo Fighters, I'd had their first album, so I kind of knew what to expect, but really dug that album too. Maybe a future episode of the podcast. And then I put Korn on, and of course it's quite different to the Foo Fighters. But that opening track of Blind, and you sort of get into it, and it's an easy. That first song sets the standard for Korn, right? Across the board. And then the rest of the songs are pretty good, catchy, and it worked. Second album, which I got, whenever it came out a couple of years later, I thought, yeah, same as you, not as many good songs. Well, better produced, but just no real hooks there, maybe one or two songs. And then I don't think they ever really came back. They did. So Follow the Leader was the big hit with 3 songs. And then after it was Issues, and then after it was Fuck Knows, I don't know, guitarist left, drummer left, all sorts of horse shit. Again, they had a couple of good songs right through their career on all their albums, but no start to finish banger albums, I don't think.
I understand their second album, they got off tour and had 2 weeks to write it or something. So that was a thrown together one. And there was something about they're one of those bands where the odd numbered albums are the good ones.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Indiana Jones films. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. We do have a 5th one supposedly coming that ever comes out, depending on when you're listening to this. Yeah, like what do you think of new metal overall? Do you think it deserves its own genre? Do you think it's just like heavy metal? Do you think, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was listening to the thing he does with Fred Durst, and he's got a line in there. He goes, "At least I got a fat original band," where Korn were that first band, at least I'm aware of, that put the hip hop with the heavy metals as a full time thing. Because there was like Anthrax doing a song with Public Enemy, and there was Faith No More doing Epic and songs like that in the past. So this is the first band that went. It's like Cypress Hill meets a metal band, the whole album with Korn, isn't it?
Yeah, I get that. The angriest singer. Yeah. Like what I read somewhere was that new metal was the first music in a long time that didn't take from like the blues and rock and roll. You know, it didn't have that standard. It still has your verse, chorus, verse, out kind of stuff, but it's not the 1-4-5. You know, like it's not taking those musical changes. It's more hip hop and beats and sick bass lines.
Yeah, with Cypress Hill, what the music does a lot of the time is it pedals back and forth, up and down a semitone. That kind of
sounds
thing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically going between an E and an F, back and forth. And I was watching the guitar player play a couple of his songs, and like he knows what he's doing. Like he's got a bit of musical expertise to create that kind of music, and the chords they're doing, like they create a lot of dissonant kind of sounds, and they do it very well.
Well, that's the thing. It's just
clever music.
Unsettling. Yeah, but it's it definitely follows a pattern though. You know, like here's our drum. You know, we'll do the intro kind of scratchy, just with the guitars, and then when the drums and bass come in, we'll do that same little riff, but we'll do it louder and heavier. And then for the verse, we'll go back to nice light version of it, and we'll go heavier. You know, and then switch it up for the bridge, and then maybe some beatboxing or a rap section and some crying and whimpering, and then we'll get out of it. You know, like Korn definitely has a pattern. Though there's one song on this album later on where they're doing they do some little riff at the start lightly, and then it goes, fuck all that bullshit, and then it goes into the, they mix it up and it's not the same riff, and you're like, ooh, that's new, but then they never do it again.
I think they did have their own sound.
Sure, for a little while though, I think they had, when you hear a song, you can definitely go, well, that's Korn, heavy drums, and mainly that the bass where it's just the low end of the bass and the super top end frequencies. That's it. You can really hear the string slap, and that to me is Korn. And then the guitar noodling, sort of like Rage Against the Machine, very scratchy little light riffs, and then the chainsaw riffs, when they kick in. But they started off at just being Korn, and then so many other bands I think stole that sound. Even Biscuit's the obvious one, mate. Did you know that Vanilla Ice stole Korn's producer and put out 2 albums in the late 90s of nu metal, which also included a re-corned up rocked version of Ice Ice Baby, retitled Too Cold. Go and check that out, listeners.
Vanilla Ice did a song with the Bloodhound Gang, like a nu metal rap kind of song.
Yeah. That's on his second nu metal album. Check out his first one. It's produced by the Korn producer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. There you go. We all learned something. But back to Follow the Leader. All the artwork was done by McFarlane, wasn't it? Todd McFarlane, I think, the comic book guy. And he did the music video as well. And, they definitely had their aesthetic together. Korn's got their look, their Adidas gear, and, they're hardcore. Oh, shit, I completely forgot. I'd seen Korn live. Were you there at the big day out when they came and played?
I left and went and watched the Fun Loving Criminals. Yeah.
You needed your Scooby snacks?
I needed my Scooby snacks. I was really into Fun Loving Criminals at the time. I got a guitar pick from the Fun Loving Criminals.
Oh, nice. Right in the mouth.
It flew in the air, went I couldn't see where it was. Everyone lost it. And then the guy in front of me had no shirt on. He was all sweaty. He turned around and on his back, and I just plucked it off him.
Licked it off. You just licked it off. Yeah. Get that pre-COVID sweat in my mouth.
I didn't.
I just flagged the episode by saying the C word. How dare I? Where was I going with that? Yeah, saw them live, right? And I'm they're in the pit. You remember that? The thing when you could say the pit? I don't think we're allowed to do that anymore either. And the band comes out. And
why not?
Yeah, the mosh pit. I don't know. Do they have those anymore? I'm too old for that shit now.
Of course they do.
Okay, that's excellent. I'm happy for the young folk. They came out on stage and they just stood there, right? There was no noise, no, they weren't like rumbling bass or anything. They just came out and stood there and they looked fucking hard, man. They just looked like, I don't know, bunch of hardcore gang members going to sell meth or something. And then they started playing. What?
What tour was it? Was this for Follow the Leader?
Yeah, probably. Would have been late 90s, I think, if not early 2000s. Can't really remember. But they just looked, their stage presence was just, holy fuck, these guys are hard. And then they kicked into, I don't know, I can't remember what their opening song was. Would have been something off, some big banger. But it was just, for the hour that they played, just fucking an assault to the senses of awesomeness, just real heavy, real solid, real aggressive. And you can tell they mean it. When you see some bands and they're on it, they're on point, and that everything's legit. That was Korn, I don't think it would have been so good if Fred Durst had been there and they did some, some of the rap stuff. But what they played there, I think their new metal, straight rock, that Korn sound, fuck that, smash it. It's good stuff. Did I have a point there? I think I did. Over to you.
I just rambled forever. It was pretty boring. I started losing it.
Just the usual.
I'll talk about more interesting things now.
Yeah, go on then.
When they were in the studio recording this, apparently there was a massive amount of drugs and alcohol and women in the studio. When he was recording the vocals for It's On, there were people getting blowjobs right behind me. There was girls banging each other in front of me. People getting boned in the closet right behind me. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life, and I sang that song. So Davis, apparently shut up. He only agreed to begin tracking vocals when producer Toby Wright met his demands for an 8-ball, which is 1/8 ounce of cocaine.
Don't give the kids recipes. What? I was just thinking, can you get the the streams of that session so you could isolate his vocals? Would you hear like all the scissoring in the background?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Good idea.
These are important.
Remember Guns N' Roses? What was that? Was it song Rocket Queen, where they recorded Axl Rose having sex with someone's girlfriend, and that's all her humping noises during the recording? It was real.
Sounds delightful. I don't know the song Rocket Queen, but I'm going to go have to listen to it now.
Yeah.
I said on Use Your Illusion something.
No, that's on Appetite. Philistine.
Okay. Well, it's a future episode.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of different sources saying, depending on who you believe, they either spent $27,000 or $60,000 on booze while recording this album, plus money on top of that for drugs, all the drugs they were doing. So this is their excess album where they were just smashed out of their brains. And Jonathan Davis was a full-on meth addict. And there was a lot of getting on meth and beating each other up. And Jonathan Davis going from a very nice, sweet young man to just a crazy asshole who would try and attack you for no reason. And apparently he talks about kicking meth after this. He realized he needed to change his evil ways.
All right. And then he just carried on being evil.
He's a pretty troubled guy. Like, I went through interviews with him in his Wikipedia, and
Mm,
I'm surprised he didn't fucking top himself years ago. He's a fucking nutbag. Um,
mm. The
the
music is
album's
his release.
apparently like he was a coroner, and he really
Mm,
enjoyed doing that. But apparently, he got there's a song about bodies everywhere and stuff.
mm.
Apparently, he got a bit of PTSD from working in a coroner's lounge, and he just had dreams of dead babies everywhere and all that sort of stuff. Um,
Well, he should have just been having sex with the corpses.
well, close enough. Let me see. He had asthma when he was a kid. His heart stopped, but didn't see no damn light or hear any music when he had a critical asthma attack. In high school, he was harassed for wearing eyeliner, baggy clothes, and listening to new wave music. So justified, in my opinion.
Mm,
But he
hmm.
was called homophobic names, and later he tattooed faggot on his arm. Um, oh
He's owning it.
no, oh no, that inspired the song "Faggot," and then he got HIV tattooed on his arm, inspired by the experience of being bullied. In reference to that.
Mm.
Uh,
I don't see. I don't get the reference.
uh, yeah, gay people don't get AIDS. So I had post-traumatic stress from seeing dead babies and young kids that had. It's a politically correct world, Brad. We deny the evidence in front of us. So shut
Yeah,
up.
it's all right. We're men. We can
straight,
say what we want.
straight people get it too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so blah, blah, blah. Yes, he found his parents' drug stash at 16. He had to take a lot of therapy to make the nightmares go away. And then apparently he didn't get along with his stepmother, and he accused her of trying to poison him. And she just
Mm,
put hot Thai oil and jalapeno juice into his drinks when he was a kid to try and make him sick. And
mm.
he had sexual fantasies of his stepmother dreaming of fucking and killing her. Uh,
Well, just to put things in perspective. I mean, if you're going to go through it, if he has to go through all that stuff in order to become a squigillionaire, right? He's going to need all that. All that is fuel for his musical energy. Would he do it all again?
have you thought about torturing one of your children? And so they would turn into like a
So that
musical
they could
prodigy or
turn into
something?
wonderful musicians? Well, no, it hadn't occurred to me until this very moment.
You should do it. Work on it. Why not?
I'm probably doing it, but not on purpose.
Yeah, probably.
Making them eat their vegetables and shit. Motherfucking dad made me eat my vegetables. That.
Uh, Apparently, he's got a song called Daddy, which gave rise to a rumor that he was molested by his father, though he denies it. But then he reckons he was molested by a lady who was a family friend growing up, and his
Oh,
family didn't believe him.
this
Married
isn't making
twice.
this isn't making for a fun podcast. What did you
No,
think of the first song?
hang
The
on, I'm
first
getting
song's
there.
not about family rape.
Hang on. Divorced the first wife, and then I don't know, and then the second wife, she killed herself recently, and she was
You're
on
just
drugs and a lot
completely
of
ignoring
depression.
me. You just barreling through your script of
Yeah,
Jonathan Davis's miserable life. Screw his
violent
miserable life.
restraining order against her, blocking childhood custody, and then yeah, she died recently. And then he got COVID, and now we're up to date with him. So he's a
Oh,
messed
did he
up
get
dude.
COVID too? You forgot about his sex and pornography addiction and he's got white man dreads, didn't he? And he
Yeah,
wears
it's
a kilt.
cultural appropriation. The hell is
Yeah,
wrong with
he's
him?
like he's stealing from the Scotsman and the Jamaican. And then what else has he got? Oh, he's got H.R. Geiger's microphone stand. That's impressive.
He paid for that though. It's not appropriation.
Probably did, but there'd be some abuse behind it, I'm sure.
I'm sure someone fisted someone because it's H.R. Geiger.
So there would have been hacksaw dildos somewhere. Yeah. So when you put this record on, I mean, you pick this one and you chuck it on, you hit play. Are you enjoying it straight off the bat, or are you having to get in the mood for some Korn?
I enjoyed it. I think it's a great album. To me, when it hits the Fred Durst song, it starts going downhill from there.
Mm.
I'm enjoying it all the way. I think it's just too fucking long. I think that can be a criticism of a lot of albums. Like, there's not much wrong with it, except it just bloody goes on too long, you know?
Yeah.
The Fred Durst one's bearable for me, but a bit skippable. And then it's just the rest puts me out of the mood. The last song is definitely crap. Earache My Eye.
Yeah.
It's got some druggy dude talking about his druggy things.
Yeah, that's it. I think they got in this, like, if the stories you're telling are bang on, it's like they had 3 songs from the previous album or from the tour that were like, yep, these are our bangers. Looked like they'd actually put some work in. Those are the first 3 songs on the album. And then the rest they went, all right, let's whack a few riffs together and get our mates in the studio and record another 14 songs. And it'll be great, you guys. And it wasn't.
What's something interesting to me is the big hit of the album is Freak on a Leash.
Yeah.
It's got 261 million streams.
Yeah.
And then Got the Life is 134 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the album's kind of around that sort of 5 to 15 million.
Yeah, okay. So it's a severe drop-off.
Well, you see that with a lot of albums. You know, it's 1 or 2 songs and then the rest are millions of streams behind it.
But I think these days with Spotify, and for a band like Korn, like I said, who have their hits and then a lot of shit, that's all I'm doing. I'm going to the playlist that says, this is Korn or best of Korn, and that's all I'm going to listen to. I'm not going to go and find the fucking deep cuts anymore,
I think a lot of songs just get put into playlists, and those are the ones that get played, and then everything else is pretty much forgotten these days.
Yeah.
I think this is an hour and 6 minutes long, hour and 7 minutes long.
It's too long.
I'm really missing the days of 40-minute, 50-minute albums.
Yeah. Give me a 44-minute album. Just bang it out. Get it done. 10.
We're going to talk about Metallica. The first Metallica albums, 50 minutes long, and then something happened and they started being over an hour 15. A lot of their new albums are hour 15 long. So that's another 25 minutes, and those are the albums that get criticized for the early albums. Pretty much masterpieces. You can't say much is wrong with them.
From a certain point of view, yeah.
If you're a fan, you're into it. I think it's like the new stuff. There's nothing really wrong with it, except it just goes on too goddamn long. And we've talked about before where used to be with vinyl, 40, 50 minutes was basically your limit.
Yeah.
When you got to CD, they could spread it out to an hour 15, so they just started cramming as many songs as they can on there.
Absolutely.
I just wonder, with streaming now, does any of that matter? Like, why can't they go back to making shorter but good albums? Because this is an album that I think it's really good. It's just it goes on and on and on.
Well, now you have no limit. Now you could do a 30-song album, like it doesn't matter. If it's all digital, you can go as long as you like, which is fucked up. Like you get a bit of like you say how Metallica went from, a certain time and then got longer and longer and more bloated or maybe that's not the right term, but is it the George Lucas effect? Too many yes men, not enough people telling them no, producers going, oh yeah, I can't tell Metallica what to do, or I can't tell Korn what to do. These guys are making money, as opposed to a producer coming in and going, right, you need to chop all this shit out. We're going to make a good album,
I don't know. We need a special guest to come on and tell us
Well,
And
I
they
will give.
confirm the suspicion that they're just trying to put as many songs on as they can, as to have as many chances to have as many hits as they can.
That's right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. But with streaming now, you don't need to do that anymore. I guess they're still selling CDs, but not that many.
Yeah, well, streaming now, you need to get in a movie that's a big hit, and then your song, is in the music video that goes viral, or you need to get on TikTok or some shit. I don't know, man. I don't know how it works. I remember the days you had to record an album, put out an album, and tour that album. Now it's just give me a song and put it in the background of somebody's bouncing boobs, and then I've got a million views.
Well, these bands are legacy bands now, like Korn.
Mm,
Well, they make their money from touring, and they're touring the greatest hits.
yeah,
And no one's there for the new stuff, and they make a good
that's
living
right.
out of that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not knocking it, but um, uh, I don't know. But as
Well,
an
they're not.
album, like how many skippers you got?
Oh, mate, like I said, I'm listening to the first 3 songs and then I'm out. Or is it 4 songs? I'm right at the start of the album. I think those are classic songs, top quality Korn. So it's on, uh, Got the Life, Freak on a Leash. Those are the 3, those classic Korn. Put them on their greatest hits record. Sweet. The rest of it, I could not give a shit. Unmemorable. Still Korn. Still sounds like Korn. Maybe if one of those songs came up on a shuffle playlist, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is all right. But in the context of the album, I'm fucking over it by the time Fred Durst is job motherfucker, yeah, stuff. I'm gone.
Well, I got 4 epics. It's on Freak on a Leash, Get the Life, Got the Life,
Mm.
sorry, and BBK. I like BBK.
Yeah, I know the one, but again, just yeah, what's that? A little bit later on the album, maybe mid to late album.
A couple of songs later. Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
just
seven decents. Dead Bodies, Children
oh
of the Corn, Pretty, Play My Place, Justin's the Cantosis.
yeah.
And I got 3 filler. All in the Family. I'm not sure if I'm being a bit rough on that. That might be decent. My
That's
Gift
such
to
a
You and
filler.
Earache My Eye. The crap.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, but the rest I can get along with it. It's just, yeah, like let's say I get to the halfway point, I'm kind of feel like I'm done, to be honest. You've heard everything they've
Yeah.
got to offer at that point.
That's right. Yeah, the aggression doesn't go anywhere. They've got nothing new. It's not like they're doing different musical, styles or taking you on a journey. It's just here's our shtick, and it's coming at you like a fucking ton of bricks. Then again, I
Yeah.
don't expect Korn to write a fucking acoustic song. You don't expect Hotel California or like an epic, you know, rock radio classic. You get what you get with Korn. So I can't. You can't be too negative. It is what you expect. It's what's on the box, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I can only stand like 20 minutes of what's on the box before I'm reaching for something else.
They're not a huge versatile band, but then they are. They're there. You're there for that one thing, aren't you? So
Absolutely. I rate Korn as one of the better bands of the late 90s for sure. Like they're killer and important in the musical scope. But I can't sit there for an hour. Even their first album, sure, if I'm in a shitty mood or I want to scream while I'm driving in the car, I'll put Korn on for it's usually their first record, but maybe half the album. And then I'm like, cool, I've vented. I'll maybe come back in for the second half later. But yeah, not all go all the time.
yeah. Uh Cat's Meows. What are you giving this?
It's only 3 good songs. I do this every fucking week. Let's pick an album where I don't like 3 songs and hate the rest of it, but still think it's a classic band. So I can't give it too shit of a score. In the scale of overall of Korn albums, it's not their best one, but Freak on the Leash is one of their best songs. I'm gonna have to just.
You got to rate the album, not the legacy of the band, though. You got to kind of be fair. Like they can have huge hit singles and a crap album.
Yeah,
We've got
I
to be honest
suppose.
about things.
Okay, out of the 10, I'd give it a 3 then.
3 cats meows.
Yep, going low because I'm only liking 3 songs, man. I'm only coming back for those 3 songs, and it's how many are there on the album? Like 13, 14 or some shit. So I gotta go low. And as you said, can't judge it on the band. Got to do it on the actual album.
I struggle to score these two myself because there are epic songs I feel should get more points than a decent song.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a filler song should be a negative number on the score.
Okay, just put a score on it then. Just put a score on it and then we'll move on.
Yeah. To me, I'm giving it 7 cats meows and a dead bird on the carpet. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I actually enjoy all of it. It just gets a bit long and there's a couple of crappers. But overall, it's a good album. I enjoy it. They deliver that one thing really well. And the crappers aren't that crap, I guess. It's just not. I guess the last song is a total crapper. But yeah, the rest of it's all. Yeah, you get what you pay for with Korn.
Well, that is true, but that's a big call for an album of a couple of classic songs. But it is your opinion, my friend, and you're welcome to it.
Well, I rate it on listenable songs and unlistenable songs.
only one.
That's how I kind of feel. Yeah.
Was it worth all Jonathan Davies' suffering in order for you to get this album?
Yeah, fuck him. I don't care.
He's got our money. Fuck him.
I probably would have beaten him up in high school too.
Nah, little faggot.
Whoa, you can't say that. Jeez, what? Brad, you take that back.
Bring on. He's a bundle of sticks. He's a bundle of sticks.
And they're all you can't call people bundle of sticks anymore, Brad. God.
All the members of Korn are but little tiny twigs, but once you put them together as a band, they are a mighty faggot.
We didn't talk about the head. The head left to join the church and become a Christian.
Did he? But then he came back.
Well, what happened is he went broke. He had bad business dealings. He got ripped off. He said that he left Korn because he found God, and then he didn't approve. God didn't approve of the music videos or the music or the message. So he went broke, and then all of a sudden God changed his mind and said it's all right to go back to Korn now. I don't mind the messages anymore. Good on you, God, for changing your mind. God approves of Korn.
God's a wily motherfucker. Just keeping people on their toes. All right. Until next week. God. Give us a tip.